how much variation do you really need in your training programs? There's people who sit on both ends of the spectrum. We've got people who do the same workout every day in and day out, week after week. They do the same weights, the same sets, the same reps, all the same movements, and they're on that same routine over and over. Then you've got the other side of people who don't do the same thing ever, and all they do is make up different things, different movements, different sets and rep schemes. These may be some of the people who think muscle confusion is still a real thing, but the real answer lies somewhere in between on that spectrum. So I'm going to go through how much variation you actually need in your training programs in order to get the best benefit. So first, let's talk about this end of the spectrum, the people who do the same thing day in and day out. In order to adapt, in order to get better, we need to stress the system. If we don't stress the system, we don't adapt. If you haven't watched my video on stress and the stress response to training, please go back and check that one out. I'll put the link down below. But if you go to the gym and you do the same workout every single day, your body is going to adapt to that training, and therefore, it's no longer going to be any stress to the system. So if you're not stressing the system, you're not going to have to adapt to anything, and therefore you're not going to continue to progress, and you'll plateau and actually start to see a decrease in performance over time. So if you're doing that same exact thing every single day, you need more variation than that in order to stress the system and to continuously adapt. However, the people on the other side of that spectrum who do something new every day because they say they want to confuse the body and confuse the muscles, what you people need to understand is the only way to get better is repeated exposures to a stimulus. So seeing the same stimulus multiple times and getting repeated exposures to that stimulus is the only way we're going to see progression. If we just change everything up every single time you go to the gym and we do all these randomized training programs, you'll see some benefit early on because your body's trying to adapt to a lot of different things. But very quick, again, you're going to plateau and your performance is going to decrease. This is also where we're going to see injuries happen because you've got all different kinds of signals being sent to the body. The body doesn't know what to adapt to. So we have to provide the same or similar stimulus every time so we can progressively get better. So you can see neither end of those spectrums is right, and the answer is somewhere in between. The in-between is, this is why we write training programs. We need to use similar movements, similar exercise, similar movement patterns, and your body needs to see those same things with a certain frequency so that we can continue to adapt. And you really only need slight variations to change that stimulus a little bit after time. So for example, you could do the same exact exercises on Monday for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, depending on the level of your training age. But you could do the same exact exercise and just progressively overload the weight or slightly change the reps or slightly change the tempo, and that's a new enough stimulus that your body will continue to adapt. So you can see we don't need nearly as much. And if you're more of a beginner athlete or a low training age person, then you can do the same things for an extended period of time and see significant adaptation because it's all pretty new to your body and your system. It's going to take you a little bit longer to adapt. So you won't need to change training programs nearly as much. For some of my more elite advanced athletes, we change the stimulus every week and we change exercises and training programs every 3 to 4 weeks. For some of my more beginner athletes, we'll change training programs from 4 to 6, even maybe 8 weeks. But we still make slight changes to the stimulus every single week. But remember, you have to get repeated exposures to the same stimulus in order to continually get better and adapt. Otherwise, you see a stimulus, your body says, I don't know what that was, I start to try to build back, but you don't see it again, so it doesn't progressively overload and get better. So that's how much variation you need in your training programs. If you subscribe to either of these schools of thought, you need to rethink that strategy because the answer is right about in the middle, and make sure you're providing just enough variation to adapt, but not too much variation where your body is never going to really know what's going on and you're never going to get better. I hope this helps answer some of your questions about training variation and how much your body really needs. Please share this video out with some of your friends, whether they're somebody who subscribes to the entertainment side of training where they just go in and play around and do things that look fun and are exciting but they're not actually getting better, or somebody who goes to the gym and does the same stuff over and over, day in and day out, and therefore they're not adapting either. Share this with either of those friends so they can learn how much variation they need in their program. Subscribe to my channel and make sure you check out my next video. I'm Coach PJ, Racing the Bar.